Up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Now, this one comes from Neon. It is written and directed by Celine Sciamma, and I got my phone out, so please bear with me. But this one stars Naomi Merlant as Mary Ann, and she is a painter in 18th century France that gets commissioned to do a painting of a daughter of a wealthy family. And the daughter is Heloise, played by Adele Haenel. And the thing is with Heloise is that she is not really cooperative when it comes to paintings. A lot of painters have come in and out of that house and they really just can't get her to pose, and they have to do it by memory, and it's just not working out. So they're fired, they're let go. And so they keep bringing all these painters. But the cool thing with Mary Ann is that she's very observational. She can soak things up and really have a great photo memory to go off on, so she can paint whoever that she is commissioned to paint. So she goes on walks with Heloise. She has talks with her. She tries to gather her features and the intricacy in her face and her body and just how her clothes look and how those colors will reflect on her skin tone, all that stuff, so she can kind of go back and paint in her quarters by herself. Now, the first painting that she does, Heloise doesn't really like it. And so she is determined to get this portrait correct, and so she's working with Mary Ann to actually pose with her. And so when they spend more time with each other on that level, they start to develop this kind of romantic relationship that they want to kind of keep hidden, because one, Heloise is about to get married to someone else, and two, same-sex relationships and couples and all that stuff, it just, people look down upon. And so they have to keep their love hidden while doing this painting, and so their love and their relationship kind of blossoms into this really strong kind of connection, but they can't tell anyone. And so that's the heartbreaking component to it. But that is your plot, basic kind of underlying plot. I don't want to spoil anything more, just in case if you want to go into this movie blind. But I was looking forward to this movie because everyone and their mother was talking about it from last year, early parts of this year. Going, I think, to TIFF and then to like the New York Film Festival, which is where one of my friends saw it. And, people would just not shut up about it. And I was just like, okay, I want to watch this movie. But when I tried to go to a theater, it just wasn't playing there anymore, just all that stuff. And now the theater's shut down. I was like, oh man, I'm probably never going to see this thing until like next year or something. But then, Hulu gets the rights to drop this thing on their service, which is great. So I have a Hulu account. There was no excuse at this point. So I sat down and I watched the entire thing. And you know what? All of that praise is warranted. This is a very sublime, very quiet, very nuanced, very affecting romance film. And I enjoyed every single thing about this thing. So as you can probably tell from what I just said, I probably won't have any gripes with it. So you already know what kind of grade I'm going to give it. But yes, the praise is warranted. And if this were to come out last year, I would have definitely snuck this into my top 10 somewhere. I'm a sucker for romance films. I'm also a sucker for just relationship films in general, whether it be a parent and their child, sibling relationships, romantic relationships, just a movie about two people conversing with one another, developing a very strong bond with one another. I love that stuff. And so, obviously, if I'm a sucker for it, I'm probably going to at least bare minimum like it. But I do think this film is warranted with its very high accolades of praise that I've been hearing for the past few months. So with Celine Sciamma writing and directing this thing, which, by the way, she won Best Screenplay for the Cannes Film Festival last year, the screenplay is excellent. It uses the less is more approach, and the dialogue is very minimal. And when it does have dialogue, it's very potent. It's very emotionally affecting. The characters that we're seeing on screen and us as an audience member. I just thought every single piece of dialogue was like poetic and it had purpose. There was no filler. It was a very tightly locked script on a dialogue level. On a visual level, that's where this movie speaks the most. Less is more, and they use the kind of observational approach for the characters, for the cinematography, for the way this story is kind of unfolding. That's the approach that they use, and they don't rush anything. They don't feel the need to bash you over the head with nonsense. This is just a film that takes its time on a visual front, and we get to soak in not only the beauty of the landscapes and the countryside, but the beauty of this relationship that is unfolding on screen. And Celine Sciamma really understands that, and she understands that relationships are not this fast editing thing. This is not something that needs to be rushed. This is something that she wants you to experience in almost real time and have it just unfold and see the power that these two people have with one another on a relationship level within the 6 days that they know each other. And there's something kind of beautiful about that, and knowing that their bond was so strong, they couldn't tell anyone. They knew that this journey was going to end, and so they try to soak up every single moment as humanly possible. And just the human connection that you have throughout this film, really, really striking stuff. And once again, taking the less is more approach and using just visual storytelling as the forefront. Dialogue is there, and it's important, but it's more about how the camera moves with the characters, how it sits on the characters, how scenes play out, how she lets certain scenes, have certain shots that last longer than others. It's a very delicate dance that Celine Sciamma is playing here, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So let's talk about that cinematography, because a lot of people I've seen on Twitter with their, takes and everything using this movie and bashing other movies. This is a really well shot film. The cinematography is absolutely stunning to look at. I like the fact that the saturation of colors is being played with here. There are certain colors that speak out more than others, like the blues and the greens, sometimes the oranges from the fires that are lit inside of the house, but there are certain colors that take center stage over the others, and so the saturation and kind of fluctuation of potency of color on screen is actually really reflective of how Marianne paints and how she highlights certain colors over others on her portraits. I thought that was a nice parallel to the character and her hobby, and showing us on a visual level the visual language that you could do with this film. I thought it was absolutely stunning. One of the things I noticed, and I could be looking too deep into this, that's fine. You can call me out on the comments below. But every single time when these two characters were outside, the ocean was the most prominent color on any given frame in this movie. So I was thinking to myself, why did Celine make blue the strongest attribute in the frame? And I was thinking to myself, what does the ocean represent? The ocean on its surface is beautiful. It's kind of elegant. It's rough sometimes with the crest of the waves and just the power that waves can have. So that's the surface. And that's kind of like what a relationship is starting out. And then think about the ocean and how you go deep down into it. It's the unknown. It's the depths of the unknown. You have no idea where it's going to go. You just know that the further you go down into it, it gets more terrifying. That's what I found in this relationship between Marianne and Heloise, is that the further they went down this relationship, the more terrifying it was for them. Because one, they had no idea how to address it, because this was new for both of them. Two, their bond was so strong that they knew when the journey was going to end, it was going to sting the most. And three, they couldn't tell anyone because same-sex marriage is looked down upon at this time in history. And so they have a bunch of whirlwind of emotions just piling on top of one another. And the further they dive deep into this relationship, they know the harder it's going to get. So I thought maybe that's why Celine was highlighting the ocean as much as she did, and the colors of the blue popping out as a representation of the relationship. Once again, I could be looking too much into this, but that is what I gathered from her framing of the water and just how she made that pop. But the cinematography is gorgeous. You could literally stop any frame of this movie and you could paint it. And it is really, really stunning stuff. But yeah, I love her overall direction of this thing, taking the kind of observational and quiet approach, really letting us observe these characters as Marianne is observing Heloise. And then, of course, the cinematography it's just eye candy. It's just the icing on the cake. Because the cake is the relationship, the icing is the cinematography. It's just that's how I saw the film. The performances are great. So Naomi, who plays Marianne, the painter, she has this really kind of like elegance to her. She has this like strong approach. Like she doesn't take any crap from anybody, and I kind of like that. Like she's there to do a job, and she does it. And she finds herself going down this rabbit hole of this romance, and she doesn't know how to express it, and she's just trying to figure it out as she goes. And I kind of like her stance on stuff, because she would go into any situation and she would just command the room. Like she was the type of person that didn't take any crap from anybody, and she was really great at what she did. And so she's a really great, strong character to kind of follow throughout this journey. And then on the flip side, you have Heloise, who she kind of gives off the impression of like a spoiled rich kid at first, but then you start to fall in love with her as she is falling in love with Marianne, because she's starting to realize the importance of like posing for a portrait, the importance of, connecting with the painter on that level. And then when she finds herself stumbling down that rabbit hole of the romance, she also doesn't know how to, deal with her emotions. Like this is new for both of them. And so we're kind of just watching humans figure out how to carry this relationship, how to carry it forward. And you can see that in their faces. So you have Marianne as like this like really strong kind of elegant painter. Then you have Heloise, who's kind of spoiled at first and really doesn't think about anyone but herself. But then as they start coming together more and understand each other on a deeper level, they start to really fall for each other. And you can see that in their faces and see the pain and the anger, the love, the frustration, the sadness, the happiness. You can see all of that in the way their face changes throughout the movie. And there's a couple of good cases as to what I'm talking about. There's a scene with Marianne where she breaks down. It's the first time we see her break down in the movie, and you feel for her because she has boiled up all these emotions to this point where she doesn't know what to do except, plea for, Heloise to like understand her and get where she's coming from. And then the very last scene with Heloise, I won't spoil anything, but the very last scene, it got me. And there was also another scene with Heloise that also got me, but it was the last scene that made me realize this was a film about two people that are just being oppressed. And there's just so much like love and anger inside of them that if they boil it up to a point, they're just going to bust out of the seams, and they're going to cry, and they're going to be very emotional about what they can't have. And that last scene, man, it got me because it works on a couple different fronts. One, she's looking at a certain thing and you think that she's crying about a certain thing, but she's crying because you can feel the presence in the room and she knows that someone is there watching her, someone that she can't have. That's all I'll say. But it's very strong, like facial acting that's happening between both of them. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking to watch, and you just want to root for them in the end, but you know it's never going to work type of deal. And they will always remember the time they had with each other. It's just not going to go beyond the 6 days that Marianne is there. So really powerful stuff on an acting level, just really kind of like subtle, nuanced type of stuff. And then when they explode with emotion, it grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go. And then on top of all that, the production design and the costuming, absolutely gorgeous, stunning. It's the type of stuff that you can only dream of having a great crew to make come to life this century and this point in time. just absolutely just stunning stuff. I love any type of period piece that just really kind of goes there with the way sets look and the production looks, and just make it feel authentic. I thought this movie delivered that in spades, and the costuming, just forget about it, too good. Guys, this is a really great film about not only a romantic relationship, but also just a relationship on a human level, how two people deal with it when they aren't supposed to tell anyone about it, and just see how people deal with it, and how some people, that can't express their love on a public level like that, how they do it inside of a room and just build that connection, and just, I don't know, man, there's just something really kind of powerful about that. And on top of that, it looks really gorgeous. It's just a really great film. I don't know what else to say. I think I made my case for it. If you are stuck at home and you need something to watch, this is on Hulu. Now you have no excuse. So hopefully I convinced you to at least check it out. And then comment down below this review. If you liked it, hated it, whatever, I'd like to know your opinions. I do read them all. So that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee. Please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and subscribe to the podcast feed of Reel Me In: the Movie Podcast, so you can get up-to-dates on whenever I review anything, or one of my co-hosts reviews stuff. Just a bunch of content we're trying to put out there while we're all staying at home. Please stay safe. Enjoy your time with your family, and just love one another. This is a time of love, right? And, this film definitely celebrates that, and it just puts you in a good mood. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.